Hello, friends, and welcome to the April 15th, 2023 edition of the Astro Energy Astrology Podcast with me, Shelley Overton. I'm not going to lie, I'm not going to sound that great on audio today. I have been dealing with an upper respiratory infection. Today is the 10th day. They say 7 to 10 days. Definitely taking care of myself. I've got days off. I've had many different types of medicines, and I'm also taking herbs and vitamins. So it's getting better. Every day's better, but I'm still a little bit run down. And I want to get this podcast out for you because I know you expect it every week. And I want to definitely give you information because it's going to be a big week. There are probably going to be a lot of edits because I may have to cough or clear my throat. And that's a thing. So I apologize in advance. But we're going to pretty much focus on two things on this podcast. We're going to focus on where the moon's at this week and also what the moon's doing on the solar eclipse and what that can mean for us. So without further ado, we're going to do Saturday, which is today. Moon is going into Pisces at 6:57 p.m. Not going to do this without glasses. Got to get the glasses that match a shirt, Got to keep up the theme. Anyway, so yeah, the moon moves into Pisces at 6:57 p.m. Eastern, 3:57 p.m. Pacific. And so that means it is at the end of Aquarius, moving into Pisces energy. So we're going from air to water. This is going to be probably a little bit more difficult for those of us who have a very strong energy in Virgo, being opposed by all this Pisces, which is honestly part of why I'm going through this. I'm going through this for multiple reasons, not the least of which I believe is an energetic reset. But having Virgo planets, the Virgo Pisces axis, very much resonates to health and what's going on, because Virgo is about health and Pisces is the anti-Virgo. So it gets us in our emotions, and we can have health issues come up in our body that's an expression of the energy we're feeling, whether it's emotional and mental clarity, whatever. If it's too much pressure or too much responsibility, whatever is coming in for us, it may be a moment of reset. So Saturn is restriction, and the moon moving into Pisces, of course, is going to immediately join up with Saturn, and that happens right after at 1:58 a.m. on Sunday Eastern and 10:58 p.m. Pacific in that time zone. And that means that the moon is our emotional body, our security, our sense of belonging, and our in a home unit and family. Joining with Saturn, which is in energy and archetype, it is the opposite of the moon, which rules the fourth house. It is the energy of being up there in the Capricorn house, which is Saturn's domain. And so it is career and life purpose versus home, family, and connectedness to the immediate group. And so when the two join, there is a meeting of the minds around what our purpose is, but also how that purpose translates into the immediate environment, into our family environment, and what are the emotional consequences brought up for that, because Saturn is big for consequences. So we have all this energy going on just with the moon alone on Saturday and Sunday. And then we have the moons of the week. And so it goes from Pisces on Saturday, Sunday, and Monday, with the moon entering Aries at 9:09 p.m. Eastern and 6:09 p.m. Pacific. And then, so when the moon moves into Aries, a lot of the planets, as you can see on this chart next to me, right here, is that a lot of energy is in Aries right now, with the sun. Vesta's at 29 degrees Aries, Jupiter at 22 degrees Aries, and then Chiron at 26 Aries. So we have a lot of Aries energy. So I'm going to talk a little bit about that for the moment. Aries, there are a lot of themes, and that includes self. It is the energy of being born into this world. So coming from that watery Piscean energy of the womb into the energy of action and doing and the material world. But the energy of Aries is more specifically how we express energy out into the world. So it is rather the energy of labor and the transition into the material plane. So it brings out the energy of young children and infants. And in the expression in the sign, that is what we really see as an overarching framework for the Aries energy, is how to express out into the world. And so it doesn't like to be stopped. If you think of labor, when the baby's ready to be born, the baby's ready to be born. You don't stop a baby and say, no, go back into the womb. So Aries energy is very much like that. And so it can be that the ram icon of Aries is about hitting a head against a brick wall, or the baby's head going to the womb exit. And so I guess that's the cervix. Anyway, it is really interesting imagery going from the extreme feminine of Piscean energy to the extreme masculine of Martian Aries energy. And so we are in that fiery Aries energy with Jupiter, Sun, Chiron, and Vesta. So Chiron is where we have our wounding. Where is the wounding? From the assertiveness, the aggression from the masculine energy, or even just the drive, which is all encompassing of that Aries energy, ruled by Mars. So we are trying to understand the drive, the masculine drive right now. Anytime we have a lot of planets in Aries or aspects to Mars, it's going to be about our drive and the motor, the engine of the career, because that's where we look. We look to Aries for where our career is really focusing, the forward momentum, or our life purpose. What are we doing towards our life purpose? So currently with Saturn in Pisces, Saturn is career and life purpose, and it wants to dig deep into the emotionalism, into the psychic awareness, into the ethereal realm, to our dream state, to the non-verbal, the non-communicated realm. And then Mars in Cancer is also in a watery energy of the moon, excuse me. Mars is in the watery energy of the moon. And so it's really trying to understand the connectedness, like I said before, of the home life, because it answers to the moon energy. Every 2.5 days, we shift the energy. So Mars right now, until it exits and goes into Leo, which is later in May, we are going to experience a shift of our drive every couple of days. So when our drive is answering to water energy, so that's Pisces, Cancer, Scorpio, we are going to be in emotionalism, into closing off our energy field and really being in our feelings. When it goes into earth energy, we are going to be more grounded and practical and pragmatic, materialistic. When it goes into the air energy, we're going to be in our ideas, in our communication, in our social aspect, in community. When it goes into fire, we are going to have the drive to move forward in our competition, in maybe more of our ego, more of the desire to be the center of attention. But in our higher selves, it is generosity. It is embracing the community and making inroads into connecting us to other people. So each 2.5 days, depending on which element we are in, these are the things that we will experience. Mars in Cancer connects us to the home experience, to the people in our immediate environment that we consider family. And it doesn't have to be an actual blood family. It's just people we consider family, or who we live with and who support us in a secure sense or nurture us. And then with Aries energy, we have the sun, which is ego. You would think that the sun rules Aries, but it doesn't. It rules Leo. But in Aries, it makes us much more independent-minded, much more self-driven and self-focused, which, if you are looking at dynamics between people, yes, it seems selfish, but it also grounds us in our personhood. And that's really what it's meant to do. Aries is more masculine in the sense of assertiveness and aggressiveness. So it rules violence. It can rule guns and knives and emergencies. It is expression of energy that can be met with stoppage, which can be accidents and crashes and fights. It is experiencing energy through stoppage of movement. So that can be really frustrating for the Aries people right now. That being said, Cancer energy also squares Aries energy, and with Mars at 10 degrees, it is in square to Chiron. So the wounding can be felt around the home. It can be felt with children. It can be felt with men and boys, and the clash of those two. There could be fights going on. Because Mars is in Cancer, it could be a fight with mother figures and children. It is the expressive energy finding a blockage with authority or with the collective in the family. So you may not be getting along with family members right now. This could be a bit difficult for the next month. Probably Jupiter goes into Taurus within the month. That brings a lot of this assertive energy into the physical, which can mean it may express towards actual physical fighting. And especially with what's going on in Ukraine or around the world with fighting and frustration, it will express that way. The collective, larger mass expression is Uranus, which is in Taurus. So when Jupiter moves in to the Taurus energy and we get into Taurus season, it is going to increase the physicality of our expression. And we'll see more of that fighting going on in the physical sense. Right now, it's more brashness, and Jupiter is expansion of fiery energy, wanting to have movement, feeling the desire and the drive come up within ourselves. And Sun energy is going to be the attachment of our ego, our sense of needing to be at the center of the drama, the center of the attention, and the center of the fire and the flame, the drive to move forward. Chiron is going to show us not only where we were wounded by the masculine, but where we also wound through the expression of the masculine. And then finally, Vesta at 29 degrees is wrapping up this story. So as the moon gets closer into Aries this week and then moves into the energy of Aries on Tuesday and into Wednesday, well, it moves in on Monday and we'll be there Tuesday, the full day, and then finally hits the end degree on Wednesday. And so currently, as I'm recording this, Vesta at 29 and 58 minutes is really expressing out the home and hearth energy of wrapping up the story of being born out into something new. This is the new energy. What is being born? Where are we going with it? And it's really wrapping up the storyline of this is the new thing. Now what's coming in is how do we express the newness in a material way? So the Aries creates it and the Taurus backs it up with physical manifestation. And so as Vesta sits at 29:58 of Aries, and then the moon comes in and the sun joins it, it is this, I got chills with this tremendous moving forward of energy, finishing up that birthing energy, moving into the material realm where now we have to understand our place in the physical. And so what's going to happen? And it moves from Aries Mars energy into Taurus Venus energy, which is understanding love, understanding the love of family, understanding the love of a partner. In astrology, Venus rules the second house of love and money and physicality. And it also rules the air energy of Libra, which is balance and partnership and marriage. So both houses have a connection to the energy of Venus, but Taurus energy is much more tangible, much more physical. It wants to express love through giving up material goods, of retail items, purchased items, getting flowers, getting rings and candy and chocolate, and having, the traditional romantic way of looking at love. Whereas Libra is very much in the idea of how we get together. What are the interpretations of love? So Libra can be more the social worker. It can be the love therapist, the marriage counselor, and how do we interpret another person's intentions towards us, and how do we get along in everyday ideas as opposed to the practicality of the relationship. So when I look at a chart, Libra is about what do you want to build together for a lifetime, and is the us, the overarching upper zodiac, which is all about transpersonal energy, where the lower half is interpersonal one-on-one. So Taurus is the one-on-one. Libra is also one-on-one, but is how we merge our individual worlds into a combined energy. And we are in a couple in the Taurus energy. So there will be an ending of a storyline that maybe doesn't serve the material purpose anymore, that it was the fiery energy. It could be passion, it can be sexual drive, it can be wanting to birth something new, or a newness has changed the dynamic that doesn't work for us anymore, and it moves into the physical world, and now we have the practicality of it, and it maybe doesn't work anymore practically. Vesta moving into Taurus is definitely going to show us the practicality of the home and hearth dynamic and where the money is coming from. What does that mean? And Venus is now in Gemini, so of course there's more of the idea and the connectedness to the marriage house with the ideas. So Venus is in trine aspect, in cooperative aspect elementally to Libra, but all the energy that will be moving into Taurus from Aries, so Vesta, Sun, the Moon in a few days, will be much more about the practicality of that new coupling or the new money and financial situation that you want to bring in. Are we making money in a way that's practical and capable of sustaining itself? And so that will be looked at. So the new moon, absolutely, it's interesting because it's a new moon, which means it's being hidden by the brightness of the sun. So the ego it's kind of like the flash before the sun goes down below the horizon. The energy is expressing in one final burst before it goes down into the earth and gets planted as a seed to grow for the future. And so we are having all of that powerful energy. This is also an energy of expression of sexual energy. So it can be planting the seed. It is putting forth the energy towards newness and the birth of something new. And this could be, children being born at the last final second. They burst forth into the material world. And then we have that energy concentrated in an eclipse, which means the moon itself is not being seen. And a new moon is birthing from 0 degrees. So there is no sight of the moon. There is no sight of the emotion. The ego has full reign on this day to birth something new. Whatever you are wanting to make new, it is really the denouement, the peak, the final effort going towards that birth. And we feel that all over the world, have tremendous chills with this. And then immediately after that, new moon. So the new moon is at 9:13 p.m. with the sun and the moon together, and that's Pacific. And then overnight into Thursday, it is 12:13 a.m. on Thursday morning. And it really is a tremendous, I want to say explosion. I do and I don't, because I know there's a very strong possibility that that is the physical expression of this energy. And so that will happen. It will very much be associated with home and hearth, with the ego, with a potential for violence, because it is expression wanting to get out, and it is that final burst forth. So it will bring fireworks or expression in a larger sense, and it can very well create emergencies, create, it is the last degree of Aries, which connects to the Pluto energy when it was at the last degree of Capricorn, which we will see again in June. And so there will probably be a major shift earthwise, not only with the expression of the fire energy on the 19th and 20th. So that would be volcanoes and volcanic action and activity. It will be lava and hot heat, boiling, things like that. The heated expression of this energy relates to magma, but also dynamite, fires, gasoline, anything like that, explosions. So anticipate that midweek. And then the energy immediately moves into Taurus. The Taurus energy will then take over the expression, and Venus will take over expression. And Venus in Gemini expresses back where we were when Mars was in Gemini, only she brings in love and desire. So where Mars may have had a difficult time with physical expression of two different scenarios, of action taken towards two different scenarios back when Mars spent 7 months in Gemini. Venus now is trying to bring an understanding and express desire and love and cooperation, but at the same time split energy with Gemini. So until Venus goes into Cancer, so until the 7th of May, there will be a splitting of desire and love. And this can mean two different women or two different loves. So I love art and I love astrology. And, do I have to choose? I have love of this and love of that, and it's an ongoing battle. But there may be that type of expression where you have two desires that are splitting your time and your energy. And so the Taurus energy until May 7th will be answering to that split energy of Venus. And that also may mean two different ways of bringing in an income and split time between two income sources. As the solar eclipse is a significant energy for the collective because it is within 5 degrees, which is a conjunct energy to the North Node and opposition to the South Node in Scorpio, there will be an energy of newness in love and a release of a drive towards something into the manifestation of it. So Taylor Swift is a classic example. And by the way, happy Taylor Swift in Tampa Day. My daughter is going to the 3rd show in Tampa this afternoon. So it is Taylor Swift Day for her. And so it is a very significant energy of changing what's going on romantically from old to new. And something new can be coming in, but something old has to go out. And it's a more tangible, real energy, as the solar eclipse literally is the last degree of that expression towards it, of that expression forward. And then we settle into the energy of the material expression of it. And so that will be coming in with the Taurus season, end of April, early May. So that's kind of what's going on with the solar eclipse. It is strongly pressing us to shift and change where we're going. It is the final incredibly powerful expression of shift and change to the new. And then it is dealing with the physical manifestation once we've gotten there. And then the moon moves into Taurus right after. And so that will be at 4:14 p.m. on Thursday, 4:14 a.m. on Thursday. And that's Eastern, and 1:14 a.m. Pacific. I think it's 9:14 a.m. in GMT. Friday we have the moon in Taurus, and then it joins with Mercury at 4:05 a.m. Immediately following that, at 4:35 a.m. Eastern, Mercury goes retrograde. So yes, of course, now we need to talk about Mercury retrograde. Mercury will be retrograde in Taurus, and that means that he is going to be giving us an added bonus of getting used to the new physical material reality that we've just created. We've been in the shadow period, and that I think is, the shadow period started on the 7th of April. Mercury retrogrades at 15 and then goes all the way back to 5 on the 14th of May. And so we will have a good 3 weeks of Mercury retrograde. We will have a good 3 weeks of Mercury retrograde, and really understanding the early degrees of Taurus. And that means newness, adjustment. It means anything with a material, physical, fashion, health, the body, beauty, the throat. As you can tell, I already know what I'm going to be focusing on for the next 3 weeks, getting my voice back. And it is also understanding how to be in a couple, adjusting to the dynamic of two, adjusting our desires. But in the financial sector, expect that things will be a little bit difficult, because Mercury forward in Taurus means we have a lot of great ideas. We're moving towards finances and financial stability, Retrograde means that the opposite energy can come in and we may need to rely on somebody. The opposite energy is Scorpio, and that is joint finances. So it will be more of an energy around how do we connect to our financial scenario, getting help from another as opposed to independently, which is what Taurus usually does. So that will come in. And then, of course, Mercury retrograde will also be going back closer to the North Node. And so it is a very potent time of change around financial markets that are going to have long range effects because the North Node is the collective. It's a destined moment in time. And so Mercury retrograde going back to 5 will come very close to the North Node. And it won't get there exactly, but it will have a discussion with the North Node and the moon as it hits the moon hits Mercury, and then it retrogrades immediately. So basically the moon goes over the territory that Mercury will be revisiting. So just know that this week is incredibly powerful for relationships, for expression of something new, for understanding money, understanding love, understanding a partner, being in a couple, not being in a couple, getting out of a couple and going into a new couple. It can deal with aesthetics. It can deal with the throat, the head, butting your head against something, frustration. It is going to be a week of frustration and understanding and readjustment. It will deal with marketing. It will deal with emergencies. It will deal with explosions. It will deal with information kind of dramatically expressing itself across all of us. And things that we didn't anticipate can come to light, which is Mercury turning retrograde. It is the messenger god, so know that that's a thing. But all of these things are part and parcel of what we're going to be going through. And I've talked a lot longer than I should have. That's the podcast for the week. Thank you so much for joining us. As we go throughout the week, it will be the first few signs of the zodiac with the moon. So these are just accenting all of the aspects going on between the solar eclipse and Mercury. It is very highly concentrated in self-awareness, intention within the material physical world, how our ideas manifest in later parts of the week with the moon in Gemini and moon joining with Venus. So the discussion will be about the choices that we have later in the week and what we intend to do with those choices in the material world. That's all for the week. Thank you so much for joining me. I apologize for the difficulty that is going to be listening to my voice. But if you want the information, thank you for putting up with me. Please do check out some of my artwork, and you will see links below. And see you later. Comment, like, subscribe, and share. Have a great week. Thank you so much.
Baby, I like it raw. I like it raw. I like it raw. I like it raw. Shimmy, shimmy out, shimmy in, shimmy a. Give me the mic so I can take it away. Off on a natural charge, bon voyage. Yeah, from the home of the Dodger Brooklyn squad. 10 kilo bees on the swarm. Rain on your dollar ass disco dome. You didn't even touch my skill. Gotta have 1 killer bee and he ain't gonna kill him. Chop that down, pass it all around. Lyrics get hard, quick cement to the ground. Any MC in your 52 states, I get psycho killer. Norman Bates, I produce a slam. I was like, bam, jump on stage, da 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 da.
A good 3 weeks of Mercury retrograde.
Hi, this is Shelley. Thank you for joining us this week. To contact me for a private reading, go to angeliczodiac.com under the Readings tab. To purchase my ebook, Learn Astrology, you can find it at angeliczodiac.com. Background music was provided by Kevin MacLeod at incompetech.com. Be sure to check back next week and subscribe through iTunes at Astro Energy Astrology Show.